Have you ever had one of those days where everything just spirals? You wake up late, spill your coffee, get stuck in traffic, and by the time you arrive at work, one email pushes you over the edge. Your heart races, your mind scatters, and suddenly it feels like the whole day is ruined. We've all been there. But let me ask you something real. In moments like that, who's really in control, your circumstances or your mind? Life doesn't always show up the way we expect it to. It tests us. It throws in curveballs, delays, rejections, tough conversations, and high-stakes decisions. And it always seems to happen when we're least prepared. But what if I told you our greatest power isn't in avoiding the chaos, it's in mastering your response to it? That power is calm. Let's get honest here, staying calm isn't just about being zen or having some mystical sense of peace. It's not just for monks or yoga teachers. It's for people like you and me, showing up every day in a fast-paced, unpredictable world, trying to do our best. See, a calm mind is a powerful mind. It doesn't ignore the problems. It looks them straight in the eye and says, let's find a way through this. While others are panicking, freezing, or reacting out of fear, a calm mind sees clearly. It doesn't drown in the noise. It rises above it. Think about it like this. Have you ever tried making a big decision when you're angry? How about solving a problem while you're anxious, distracted, or overwhelmed? It never works out well, does it? That's because when we let emotions hijack our thinking, logic takes a back seat. And in that state, we don't make good choices, we make quick ones, impulsive ones, and often regrettable ones. We snap at the people we love. We shut down opportunities. We miss solutions that are sitting right in front of us. Best we're reacting, not responding. Let me give you a simple truth that changed my life. Emotion is not the uncontrolled emotion is. We're human. We're wired to feel joy, fear, frustration, passion, sadness. Those emotions are valid. They're part of what makes life rich and meaningful. But when those emotions are in the driver's seat and we don't have the tools to manage them, they can take us down paths we never meant to go. You've probably heard someone say, don't make decisions when you're angry. Don't make promises when you're happy. There's wisdom in that, because clarity doesn't live in emotional extremes. It lives in the middle, in the quiet space between reaction and response. That's where your power is, and that power can be trained. You might be thinking, well, staying calm is easier said than done. And you're absolutely right. This isn't about flipping a switch. This is about building a skill that can change your life. Imagine walking into a high-pressure meeting where everyone else is stressed, emotions are running high, and decisions need to be made fast. Now imagine being the one person in that room who's centered, grounded, clear. That's influence. That's leadership. And that's what calm gives you. Calm is not weakness, it's quiet strength. Think about the people you admire most. The ones who always seem composed no matter what's happening around them. Do you really think they were born that way? No. They learned. They trained. They practiced. And so can you. Every time you choose not to react, you're training your mind. Every time you pause to breathe instead of panic, you're building your strength. And over time, that strength compounds. You become less reactive and more intentional, less chaotic and more focused. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine your mind is like water. When the surface is calm, you can see straight to the bottom, everything is clear. But when it's stirred up stormy, agitated, you can't see a thing. That's exactly what happens to your thinking when you don't manage your emotions. Staying calm gives you clarity, and clarity gives you direction. It helps you avoid mistakes. It helps you say the right thing. It helps you choose growth, even when everything in you wants to shut down or lash out. And here's something even deeper: when you stay calm, you don't just change your moment. You change your identity. You become the person who doesn't crumble under pressure. You become the one who leads others, who inspires trust, who makes decisions with wisdom instead of fear. You become the one people look to in times of chaos, not because you're the loudest, but because you're the clearest. And let me tell you others something deeply peaceful and quietly powerful about knowing that no matter what comes your way, you're ready. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. So, how do you begin? How do you train your mind to stay calm in a world that constantly tries to shake you? It starts with awareness. It starts with noticing when you're triggered, when your chest tightens, when your thoughts speed up, when that urge to react kicks in. Pause. Just pause. One breath. That's all it takes to interrupt the pattern. One deep, intentional breath gives your mind a moment to catch up to respond instead of react. That breath might just be your turning point. So let me leave you with this. You will be tested. You will face stress, disappointment, delays, difficult people, and unexpected storms. But in every single one of those moments, you have a choice. Let the chaos control your step into the calm and take control. Don't underestimate this power. It's not flashy. It's not loud. But it is life-changing. Because when you master calm, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, there is nothing you can't handle. You've got this. Now breathe and begin. Let's talk about pressure. Because whether you're leading a team, raising a family, chasing a dream, or just trying to keep it all together, there's one thing we all face: stress. Now here's the thing most people don't realize. In moments of stress, your brain isn't thinking clearly. It's reacting. And that difference, that tiny space between a reaction and a thoughtful response, that's where your future is shaped. We live in a world that demands quick answers, instant replies, and high performance. But the truth is, when you're under pressure, when emotions are high and the stakes feel heavy, your brain goes into survival mode. It's not calculating logic. It's not weighing outcomes. It's trying to protect you. This is your fight or flight system kicking in, and while it's helpful when you're facing physical danger, it's not so great when you're making a business decision, handling a tough conversation, or dealing with a child's meltdown at 6 p.m. on a Tuesday. Your instincts tell you to rush, react, defend, escape. But your power lies in doing the opposite. Let me ask you this. Have you ever made a decision in a moment of panic and regretted it later? Maybe you sent that angry email. Maybe you walked away from something too soon. Maybe you said words you didn't mean to someone you care about. We've all been there. But what if, in that moment, you had taken a pause? What if you had just breathed? That's the difference a calm mind makes. It creates space. And that space gives you power, the power to respond with intention rather than react out of fear or frustration. Now, I want to share a story with you that's become a symbol of mental strength under pressure. Picture this. It's the NBA Finals. The game is tied. The clock is ticking. The world is watching. Michael Jordan steps up. The moment is massive. Everything's on the line. And what does he do? He breathes. He focuses. He shoots. And he wins. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's Michael Jordan. Of course he can do that. But here's what you need to know. Michael Jordan wasn't born with some magical calm gene. He trained for that. He practiced not just his physical game, but his mental one. He mastered the art of staying composed when most people would break. And guess what? You don't need to be a professional athlete to do the same. Because while the championship may not be on your shoulders, your life is. You face pressure in different forms every single day. That difficult meeting at work, the moment your child tests your patience, the unexpected bill that throws off your budget, the health scare, the rejection, the change you didn't ask for. Each of these moments is your version of a game-winning shot. And the way you handle it matters. You see, most people go through life reacting. Reacting to problems. Reacting to people. Reacting to stress. And when you're always reacting, you're not in control, your emotions are. But when you train your mind to stay calm, you begin to take your power back. You become the one who chooses not just what to do, but how to feel, how to think, how to lead. This is not about suppressing emotions or pretending you're okay when you're not. It's about creating space inside your mind so that when pressure hits, you don't collapse. Let's pause here for a second. Think about a moment from your own life. A moment that felt overwhelming. One that shook you. What would have changed if you had stayed calm? If you had taken a step back, breathed deeply, and made a choice from clarity instead of chaos? Would you have saved yourself pain? Protected a relationship? Seen a solution that was hidden behind the fog of panic? Probably. Because clarity lives in calm. And calm gives birth to better decisions, deeper focus, and greater strength. Now let me flip this around. Imagine you start training your mind daily. Imagine building this muscle of mental composure like you would train at the gym. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up with awareness and intention. You begin to notice your triggers. You recognize the early signs of overwhelm. And instead of letting stress lead the way, you lead yourself through it. And here's the best part: it compounds. Every time you stay calm, you become more resilient. Every time you breathe through frustration, you get stronger. And over time, staying composed becomes who you are, not just what you do. This is what separates the truly successful from the rest. Not luck, not talent, not even intelligence. It's composure. It's the ability to stay steady while the world shakes. It's the quiet confidence that says, I may not control everything, but I control how I show up. Think about great leaders, visionaries, creators. What do they all have in common? They don't crack under pressure. They channel it. They turn intensity into intention. And that's available to you. So how do you start? Here's something simple. The next time you feel overwhelmed and rush, don't speak right away. Don't act out of emotion. Just pause. Take one deep breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Bring your awareness back to your body, your center, your control. Then ask yourself, what is the best way I can respond right now? That question alone will change your life. So here's my challenge to you today. Start noticing. Start practicing. Start choosing calm, especially when it feels hardest. Because that's when it counts. And trust me, when you do, you'll begin to notice something remarkable. You'll speak more wisely. You'll listen more deeply. You'll think more clearly. And you'll lead not just others, but your own life with power and peace. This is what it means to train your mind. And once you do, you build this inner strength. Fear is nothing life can throw at you that you can't handle. You've got this. Now go out there and stay calm in the storm. Let me ask you something. When pressure builds, how do you respond? Do you feel your heart race? Do your thoughts start spinning? Do you act quickly, maybe too quickly, and later wish you had taken a moment to think? It's okay if you've been there. We all have. But here's something that can change your life if you take it seriously. Staying calm is not a personality trait, it's a skill. And like any skill, it can be trained. Think about it this way. You wouldn't walk into a gym expecting to lift heavy weights on your first day, right? You'd train. You'd show up consistently. You'd challenge your body little by little until your strength grew. Your mind is no different. Mental calmness is a muscle. And the more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. The less reactive you get, the more resilient you grow. And suddenly, situations that used to overwhelm you no longer have that power. We live in a world that constantly pulls us in 100 directions. Emails, deadlines, difficult people, unexpected problems, it's nonstop. And it's so easy to get caught in the current, to feel like you're drowning in stress and reacting out of fear or frustration. But here's your power. You can choose to respond differently. You can build the mental strength to stay calm, even when the world feels chaotic. It starts with one small shift in perspective. You don't need to wait for calm to find you. You can create it. So, how do you begin? 3 simple steps. Not complicated. Not mystical. Just practical tools you can use every single day. Let's break them down. Step 1. Pause. When stress hits, your first instinct might be to react quickly, defensively, emotionally. But in that very moment, you have a choice. You can pause. Not forever. Not for hours. Just long enough to interrupt the automatic reaction. Give yourself 3 seconds. That's all. This small act creates space. Space between what's happening and what you decide to do next. And in that space you regain control. Step 2. Breathe. You've heard this before. It sounds too simple, maybe even cliché. But there's a reason people say, take a deep breath. Because it works. When you breathe deeply consciously, send a signal to your body that you are safe. You calm your nervous system. You slow your heart rate. And most importantly, you quiet the chaos inside your mind. Try it right now. Inhale slow and deep. Hold it for a second. Now exhale gently. Do it again. This isn't just relaxation. This is recentering your entire system in real time. This is reclaiming your clarity when emotions try to take over. Step 3. Refocus. Now that you've paused, now that your mind is clearer, it's time to reset your focus. Ask yourself, what truly matters right now? What outcome do I want from this situation? What version of me do I want to show up as? Because here's the truth. The situation does not define your response does. Anyone can panic. Anyone can lash out. But the person who pauses, breathes, and refocuses, That person owns their power. Let me give you a quick story. There was a woman I met at a leadership retreat. She led a team of over 100 people at a major company, and she was known not for being the loudest or the toughest, but for being the calmest. People respected her deeply, not because she always had the answers, but because she was the one who never lost her head. I asked her one day how she does it, and she said, "I've trained for it. Just like you train for a marathon. I don't wait until I'm stressed to practice calm. I practice every day so when pressure hits, I already know how to breathe through it." That hit me. You don't rise to the level of your intentions, you fall to the level of your training. So why does this matter so much? Because life will test you. That's guaranteed. There will be delays, disagreements, broken plans, bad news, and moments that catch you off guard. And when they come, your reaction will either make things worse or make space for something better. When you've trained your mind to stay calm, you speak with wisdom instead of defensiveness. You lead with clarity instead of confusion. You act with purpose instead of panic. This isn't about being perfect. You will still have moments where you stumble. But each time you choose calm, you get stronger. Each time you pause instead of explode, you grow. And over time, that growth changes everything. Let's get real for a second. This world doesn't need more noise. It doesn't need more people reacting from fear, anger, or impulse. It needs more calm. It needs more clarity. It needs people like you who can rise above the chaos and lead with steady hands and clear minds. And you don't need a title or a spotlight to be that person. You just need commitment. So, here's my invitation to you. Start today. Choose one moment, just one, where you catch yourself before reacting. Pause. Breathe. Refocus. Do that once, then do it again tomorrow. And the next day. This is how skills are built. Not in theory, but in repetition. Not in comfort, but in pressure. You are capable of far more calm than you think. It's already inside you. Now it's time to train it. Because when life gets loud, when the storm comes, when pressure builds and emotions rise, you will not be shaken. You will not lose yourself. You'll stand steady, breathe deep, and move with intention. Not because it's easy, but because you've trained for it. You've got this. Now breathe and begin again. Take a moment. Right now. Just notice your breath. You're probably not even aware of it most of the time, right? It just happens automatically, rhythmically, silently in the background. But what if I told you? Your breath is the most powerful tool you have to reset your mind, reclaim your peace, and take back control even in the most overwhelming moments of your life. Sounds simple. Maybe too simple. That's exactly why most people overlook it. But those who master their breath master their emotions. And those who master their emotions master their lives. Let's face it, life gets chaotic. Deadlines, expectations, conflict, uncertainty. And when pressure rises, when fear creeps in, when everything around you feels like it's spinning out of control, it's the first thing to go. Your breath. Think about it. In moments of stress, our breathing changes automatically. It becomes shallow, rapid, tight. Your chest constricts. Your heart rate spikes. Your nervous system jumps into overdrive, flooding you with stress hormones. Your body enters survival mode. It's not your fault. It's biology. But here's what most people never learn. You can reverse that. Instantly. Consciously. Powerfully. With one deep breath. You've probably heard someone say, "Take a deep breath." Maybe you've even rolled your eyes at the advice. It sounds cliché, basic. But let me ask you this. Have you ever actually stopped in a stressful moment, closed your eyes, and focused on your breath? Not just once, but with real intention? If you have, you know how powerful it is. If you haven't, you're about to discover a game-changing practice. Let me introduce you to something Navy SEALs use in the heat of combat. It's called box breathing. These are elite warriors, trained to stay calm in life or death situations. And they don't leave their emotional control up to chance. They train it with their breath. Here's how it works. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4 seconds. Hold again for 4 seconds. That's it. 4 simple steps. 1 powerful cycle. Repeat it for a few minutes. And here's what happens. Your nervous system calms down. Your heart rate slows. Your thoughts settle. You go from panic to presence, from chaos to clarity. It's like hitting a reset button on your entire internal system. Let me give you a real-world example. A client of mine, an executive at a fast-paced tech company, used to suffer from anxiety before major presentations. His hands would sweat, his voice would shake, and sometimes his mind would blank out completely in front of investors. We didn't start with slides or speaking tips. We started with breath. Every morning, he practiced 5 minutes of box breathing. Before every big meeting, he did 1 round. And over time, something shifted. He wasn't just speaking better. He was thinking clearer, leading stronger, feeling calmer. All because he finally learned how to control the one thing that had always been with him: his breath. Here's the truth. When you control your breath, you control your mind. And when you control your mind, you control your choices. And when you control your choices, you control your life. It starts that small. We tend to believe change comes from big external shifts, new jobs, new cities, new relationships. But the deepest transformation often starts internally with something as simple as one intentional inhale. Let's try it together right now. Wherever you are, pause for just a moment. How do you feel? Maybe a little clearer, a bit more grounded. Even just 10 seconds of focused breath can create space in your mind where there was once tension. Now imagine what practicing this daily could do for you. You don't need an hour-long meditation practice. You don't need a mountaintop retreat. You don't need to be a yogi or monk. You just need to breathe with awareness. Start with 2 minutes a day. That's it. Do it when you wake up. Do it before a meeting. Do it when you feel anger rising. Do it when your thoughts are racing at night. Your breath is always with you. It costs nothing, and it can change everything. So many people feel trapped by stress, by anxiety, by panic, by overthinking. But here's the empowering truth. You are never truly stuck because calm is always just 1 breath away. That's not poetic. That's science. Your breath is the remote control for your nervous system. And when you learn to use it with skill, you stop reacting blindly and start responding wisely. You know, I once heard someone say, the mind is like the ocean. The breath is the anchor. That stayed with me. Because storms will come. Waves will rise. Thoughts will swirl. But if you've trained yourself to return to the breath, you will never drift too far from center. You'll stay grounded. And that's what makes the difference, not just in stressful moments, but in every aspect of your life. So, what will you choose next time pressure builds? Will you let the storm sweep you away? Or will you pause, breathe, and anchor yourself in calm? Let your breath be your power. Let it be your pause button. Let it be your reset. This isn't just about stress management, it's about living with intention, being present, thinking clearly, leading with purpose, loving with presence. And it all begins with a breath. So today, I challenge you. Make breathing part of your daily practice. Before the world gets loud. Before emotions take over. Before the chaos kicks in. Breathe first. You'll be amazed how different life feels when you finally take control from the inside out. You've got everything you need. Your breath has been waiting for you to notice it. So now it's your turn. Inhale deeply and begin again. Let's talk about a choice you make every single day without even realizing it. In conversations, in traffic, in meetings, in relationships, you are always doing one of 2 things. You're reacting or you're responding. And that tiny difference, it's the line between chaos and clarity, between regret and growth, between losing control and stepping into power. Have you ever said something in the heat of the moment and immediately wished you could take it back? Maybe you snapped at your partner after a long day. Maybe you fired off an angry email without thinking it through. Maybe you made a big decision out of fear, frustration, or ego only to realize later that wasn't you. We've all been there. That's what happens when you react. It's quick, emotional, impulsive, and often it feels good for a second but costs you later. Now let's flip that. Imagine the same situation, but instead, you pause, you breathe, you take a second to center yourself. And then, from a place of clarity, you respond. Same problem, same pressure, but a completely different outcome. Why? Because reaction is automatic, but response is intentional. One is driven by emotion, the other is guided by awareness. And that difference, that moment of choice, that's where self-mastery begins. Let me share something powerful with you. Every time you choose to respond instead of react, you strengthen your inner peace. You sharpen your emotional intelligence. You build a life that's not dictated by chaos, but shaped by conscious decision. That's how leaders are made. That's how relationships are healed. That's how you stop being controlled by the world and start creating the life you want. Here's the thing: your brain is wired to react. It's how we've survived as a species. You touch something hot, you pull your hand away. You hear a loud noise, you jump. That's your survival instinct kicking in. But most of the problems we face today, they aren't about physical danger. They're about conversations, expectations, emotions, discomfort, and reacting to those things the same way we'd react to a lion in the wild. That's what causes problems. Imagine this. You're at work. A colleague criticizes your projectly, and in front of others. Your body tenses. Your pride flares up. Your mind races. Your first impulse? Snap back. Defend. Attack. Prove them wrong. That's reaction. But what if you took just 3 seconds to pause? What if you asked yourself, is this about me or about them? Will my response move this forward or make it worse? Who do I want to be in this moment? That's response. And you walk away from that conversation in control not only of your words, but of your energy. That's real strength. It's not weakness to pause. It's not soft to choose peace over drama. In fact, it takes far more strength to hold your center than to lose your temper. Every moment you choose awareness over impulse, you build discipline. You build respect. You build trust with others and with yourself. So how do you make the shift? How do you go from being someone who reacts to someone who responds? It starts with self-awareness. You have to start noticing your patterns. What triggers you? What situations consistently pull you out of character? Once you notice, you can begin to create space between stimulus and response. That space is where transformation happens. Here's a tool I use every day. The 3-second rule. Whenever you feel triggered, stop. Take 3 deep breaths. Inhale, hold, exhale. And ask, what outcome do I want right now? That one pause can save you from hours or even years of damage. It can save a friendship, a job, a marriage, your peace. Because a reaction might feel good in the moment, but a response feels good for a lifetime. Let me ask you something personal. How many moments in your past were defined by a reaction you wish you could undo? And how many breakthroughs have come from a moment where you held your ground, thought clearly, and responded with wisdom? The truth is, we never regret staying calm. We never regret choosing patience, grace, or clarity. But we often regret the things we said or did in anger, fear, or pride. So what if, starting today, you made a different commitment? A commitment to pause, to observe, to breathe, to respond. This doesn't mean becoming passive. It doesn't mean letting people walk over you. It means learning how to choose powerfully with it, letting emotions hijack your choices. It means responding with strength, not force, with clarity, not confusion. It means standing tall, even when your feelings try to pull you off balance. Because the real power is not in shouting louder. It's in knowing exactly when to speak and how. Here's what I've learned. Reacting is easy. Responding is a skill. And every time you practice it, you build something unshakable inside you. People will notice. Your relationships will shift. Your energy will feel different. And most of all, you will start trusting yourself in a whole new way. You'll know that no matter what happens, you don't have to be ruled by it. You get to choose who you are. You get to shape the moment. And that's the kind of quiet power that transforms lives. So the next time life throws something unexpected at you, before you speak, before you act, before you let emotion take the wheel, pause, breathe, respond. Not to control others, but to control yourself. Because your future isn't shaped by what happens to you. It's shaped by how you respond to what happens to you. And when you master that, nothing can shake you. You've got this. Now go and respond with purpose. Let's talk about a word that makes most people uncomfortable. Failure. We've been taught to avoid it, fear it, hide it. Some of us even carry the shame of it like a heavy backpack we never asked to wear. But what if I told you this? Failure is not the enemy. In fact, if you understand it correctly, it could be your greatest teacher. Let's start here. When something doesn't go your way, when the plan falls apart, when the results don't show, when you feel like you gave it your all and it still wasn't enough, what's the first thought that comes to mind? For most people, it's, why me? What's wrong with me? Maybe I'm just not good enough. Sound familiar? But here's the truth. Those questions aren't helpful. They trap you in a cycle of blame, self-doubt, and frustration. They keep you focused on the problem instead of the possibility. So here's a powerful mindset shift. Stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Because every failure, every setback, every closed door is offering you something, a lesson, a redirection, a new way of seeing things. If you're willing to look for it, let's take a moment to talk about someone who understood this better than most. You've probably heard of Thomas Edison. Yes, the man credited with inventing the electric light bulb. But what most people don't know is that it took him 10,000 attempts to get it right. 10,000 attempts. Imagine that. Imagine failing at something 10,000 times and still showing up the next day to try again. Most people would have quit after 10, maybe even after 1. But not Edison. When someone asked him how it felt to fail so many times, his response was legendary. He said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's not just optimism. That's wisdom. That's a man who understood that failure is not the end, it's feedback. Now think about your own life. What's something that didn't go the way you hoped? A job you didn't get? A business that struggled? A relationship that ended? A goal you worked so hard for and still missed? What did that moment teach you? Did it teach you about resilience? Did it force you to grow? Did it reveal a better path or a better version of you? Because here's the truth. You don't grow the most when life is easy. You grow when life stretches you, challenges you, when it humbles you. And nothing humbles us quite like failure. But here's the difference between people who stay stuck in failure and those who rise from it. Perspective. The stuck ones see failure as a full stop. The resilient ones see it as a comma pause, not an ending. They ask better questions. They look deeper. They stay curious. And because of that, they keep moving forward. Let me be clear. This isn't about pretending failure doesn't hurt. It does. It's disappointing. It can shake your confidence. It can feel personal. But your pain is not pointless. It can refine you if you let it. It can shape your character, build your grit, and sharpen your clarity. But only if you choose to shift your lens. Only if you stop seeing yourself as a victim of failure and start seeing yourself as a student of it. Let me ask you something. What would happen if, instead of hiding your failures, you learned to embrace them? What if you could look someone in the eye and say, "Yeah, I tried and it didn't work out. I lost but I learned. I failed and I grew." That's not weakness. That's not embarrassment. That's courage. That's honesty. That's maturity. And more importantly, it's the path to real success. Because here's what nobody tells you. Every person you admire, every author, athlete, CEO, artist, leader, they all failed. They failed big. They failed often. But they didn't stop. They learned. They adapted. They picked up the lesson and left the shame behind. And that's what set them apart. So the next time you feel like you failed, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what is this teaching me? What can I do differently next time? How is this moment shaping the future version of me? Because failure isn't trying to destroy you. It's trying to develop you. You're not broken. You're becoming. Here's the truth, plain and simple. You are not your failure. You are not your mistakes. You are not your worst moment. You are the person who chose to keep going. You are the one who looked at the rubble, picked up the pieces, and built something better, something wiser, something stronger. And that version of you, that's the one the world needs. So today, I challenge you. Revisit something you've labeled a failure in your life. Look at it with new eyes. What did it prepare you for? What did it teach you? How did it shape your perspective, your purpose, your strength? Then take that insight and use it. Use it to move forward. Use it to inspire someone else. Use it to build something even better. Because you're not starting over, you're starting wiser. Let me leave you with this. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a part of it. The question isn't whether you'll fall. The question is, will you get back up with more wisdom, more strength, and more purpose than before? You've got this. Now go learn. Go grow. Go build. And remember, you're not failing. You're becoming. When you see someone at the top of their game, a powerful speaker, a calm leader, a focused athlete, what do you think? Do you say, wow, they're lucky? Or do you wonder, what did they do when no one was watching? Because here's the truth that most people miss. Success doesn't happen in the spotlight. It's built in the shadows. It's not about talent. It's not about timing. It's not even about luck. It's about preparation. It's about the work you put in every single day when nobody's clapping for you, especially the work you do on your mind. You see, your mind is your most powerful asset. It shapes how you see the world. It influences how you handle pressure. It decides how you speak, how you think, how you act, how you lead. But here's the problem. Most people spend more time getting dressed in the morning than preparing their mind for the day ahead. We scroll, we react, we rush, and then we wonder why we feel so overwhelmed, so scattered, so disconnected. Let me tell you this. If you don't train your mind, life will train it for you. And life isn't always gentle. Greatness isn't born. It's practiced. Over and over. Quietly. Privately. Relentlessly. Muhammad Ali once said, "The fight is won or lost far away from witnesses beyond the lines, in the gym, and out there on the road long before I dance under those lights." He wasn't talking about the ring. He was talking about discipline. He was talking about the invisible work, mindset work. And that same truth applies to your life. Whether your ring is a boardroom, a classroom, a stage, or your own home, you win the battle long before the moment comes. So how do you train your mind? What does that daily preparation actually look like? You don't need 4 hours. You don't need a mountain retreat. You don't need to become someone else. You need consistency. You need simple, powerful habits that strengthen your focus, your calm, your clarity, and your courage. Let's talk about 4 of them. 1. Meditation. I know what you might be thinking. I'm not a monk. I don't have time to sit in silence all day. But meditation isn't about sitting still in a robe. It's about giving your mind a break from the noise. It's about learning to observe your thoughts instead of becoming your thoughts. In just 510 minutes a day, you can reset your nervous system. You can practice stillness. You can create space between a trigger and your response. That space, that's where your power lives. And when you practice meditation daily, you train your mind to stay calm, not just in peace, but especially in pressure. 2. Visualization. Here's a technique the world's top performers swear by but most people ignore. Visualization is not daydreaming. It's mental rehearsal. It's seeing your success in vivid detail before it ever happens. It's picturing yourself walking into the meeting calm, clear, confident. It's imagining yourself solving problems with creativity. It's rehearsing a powerful, grounded version of yourself so that when the real moment comes, you've already been there mentally. Your brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. So when you visualize success with emotion and clarity, you're already preparing your body and mind to perform at that level. 3. Reading. Yes, reading. Old school. Maybe. But incredibly powerful. Absolutely. Because reading expands your perspective. It feeds your mind. It gives you language for your emotions. It shows you how other people think, struggle, overcome, and lead. And the more you read, the more tools you have when life throws something unexpected your way. I'm not just talking about self-help books either. Read biographies, psychology, philosophy, fiction that stirs your imagination. A strong mind is a well-fed mind. 4. Exercise. You already know movement is good for the body. But what most people don't realize is it's even better for the mind. Exercise is a mental training ground. When you push through the discomfort of one more rep, when you go for a walk instead of scrolling, when you sweat, stretch, move, you're reminding your mind, I can do hard things. That builds confidence. That builds resilience. Even 20 minutes a day can make a massive difference. Now listen closely. You don't need to do all 4 of these perfectly. But pick one. Start somewhere. Maybe today you meditate for 5 minutes. Maybe tomorrow you visualize your best self showing up at work. Maybe you commit to one book this month. Or maybe you take a short walk and feel your breath again. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be daily. Let me ask you this. Who are you becoming when no one is watching? What kind of mind are you building in the quiet hours? Because when the pressure comes, and it will, when the deadline is close, when the conversation is hard, when the challenge hits unexpectedly, you will either rise with clarity and courage, or you will fall back into chaos and confusion. And that depends on the habits you built behind the scenes. So don't wait for a crisis to train your mind. Don't wait for a breakdown to begin building your strength. Start now, quietly, privately, consistently, because your peace, your power, and your success, they don't come from what happens to you. They come from what you practice daily when no one is watching. You don't need to be the loudest. You don't need to be the smartest. You just need to show up for yourself day after day. Because the real work is never glamorous. But the results? They're undeniable. You've got this. Now take a deep breath and begin. Let me ask you something honest. When you wake up in the morning, do you feel supported by the world around you? Or do you feel like you're constantly swimming upstream, pushing against negative energy, toxic conversations, and unspoken expectations? Because here's a truth that may be hard to hear. But once you accept it, everything can change. Your environment, people you surround yourself with, the energy you allow into your space shapes who you become. And if you want to live a focused, purposeful, and peaceful life, you must be intentional about your circle. Think of your mind like a garden. You can plant the seeds of clarity, peace, purpose, and strength. But if you're surrounded by weeds of doubt, negativity, and distraction, those seeds will never grow. And here's the hardest part. Sometimes those weeds are people you've known for years. Friends, family, co-workers, partners. Not because they're evil. Not because they don't love you, but because they're stuck in they don't want to change. And when you start to grow, your growth threatens their comfort. Now, I'm not saying you should cut everyone off and live on a mountain. But I am saying this. Not everyone deserves access to your mind. Not everyone should have a front row seat in your life. Because some people, without even realizing it, pull you back every time you try to move forward. They complain. They gossip. They panic at the smallest problem. They make excuses. They tell you your dream is unrealistic. They drain your energy and they disguise it as just being real. But you don't need realism if it's rooted in fear. You need truth rooted in faith, vision, and possibility. Let's flip the script now. Have you ever been around someone who inspires you? Who thinks big? Who listens with presence? Who lifts you when you're down but also challenges you when you're playing small? That energy is contagious too. Just like negativity spreads, so does vision. So does calm. So does courage. When you spend time with people who are focused, disciplined, intentional, and growth-oriented, you rise to meet their level. You sharpen each other. You push each other. You remind each other that your goals are possible and your potential is real. That's the kind of environment where transformation thrives. But here's where it gets real. Some of the people who've known you the longest might not be the ones who are meant to go with you to the next level. And that's hard, because we have history, loyalty, shared memories. But you have to ask yourself, are they helping me grow or holding me back? Do I feel lighter or heavier after being around them? Because not all weight is physical. Some of it comes from conversations, energy, and emotional dynamics we never question. I know this can feel uncomfortable, but growth requires boundaries. You can still love someone and create distance. You can still be kind without giving them full access to your emotional space. You can say, I care about you, but I can't let your fear shape my future. I respect your journey, but I need to protect my own energy. This isn't judgment. It's discernment. Here's something I've learned the hard way. Energy is more powerful than words. You don't need someone to criticize you outright to feel their resistance. You can feel it in their silence, in their sighs, in their subtle disbelief. It's like being in a room filled with cigarette smoke. Even if you're not the one smoking, you're still breathing it in. That's what happens with toxic environments. Even if you're doing everything right, the energy around you affects your mindset, your focus, your self-worth. So what do? You get intentional. You get honest about the spaces you're in and the people you allow close. And you start making choices that align with who you want to become. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your wins, not secretly resent them. Speak solutions, not just problems. Hold you accountable to your goals, not your past. Stay calm under pressure, instead of spiraling into fear. Believe in something bigger and remind you that you can too. Because you are not meant to carry other people's limitations as your burden. You have a life to build, a legacy to create, a peace to protect. And that requires clarity in your relationships. Now, let's bring this back to you. What kind of person are you in the lives of others? Are you lifting people up or pulling them down? Are you showing up with energy that inspires or energy that drains? Because your presence matters too. You can be the person who walks into a room and brings calm. You can be the voice that reminds your friend they're capable. You can be the example of someone who lives with purpose and gives others permission to do the same. And that begins by owning your own energy first. Let me say this. You don't have to explain your growth to everyone. Not everyone will understand why you're changing, why you're protecting your peace, why you're less available for drama, why you're setting higher standards. And that's okay. You're not abandoning people, you're returning to yourself. So here's your challenge today. Take inventory. Look around and ask, who pours into me? Who drains me? Who sees me clearly and encourages my growth? Who keeps me stuck in cycles I've outgrown? And then ask, what kind of energy do I want more of in my life? Because you are allowed to choose again, to evolve, to outgrow, to level up. This is your life, your journey. And not everyone is meant to walk with you to the final chapter. Some people are only meant for a season. And when that season ends, it's okay to move on. Here's the final truth I want you to hold. You become like the people you spend the most time with. So choose people who reflect the version of yourself you're trying to become. Let your environment elevate you, not suffocate you. And if you can't find the circle you need right now, come it. Be the calm. Be the focus. Be the light. Because when you change your energy, you change your life. And when you protect your space, you unlock your power. You've got this. Now go and choose your circle with intention. Let me leave you with something that might just change how you look at every challenge moving forward. Storms will come. That's not a question. That's not a maybe. That's a guarantee. Life will test you. It will stretch you. It will knock at your door with unexpected news, heavy losses, hard choices, and moments where the pressure feels unbearable. But the question isn't if the storm will hit. The question is, will you be ready when it does? Because let me tell you something powerful. You don't rise to the occasion, you fall back on your training. And if you haven't trained your mind, if you haven't built that inner strength, that emotional clarity, that quiet composure, then when life gets loud, you'll find yourself spinning, reacting, breaking. But if you have done the work, if you practiced the pause, strengthened your thoughts, rewired your reactions, then the storm no longer controls you. You become the calm inside of it. You see, most people try to change their life by changing the outside. The job, the house, the schedule, the people. But the real transformation? It begins inside your mind. Your mindset is your filter. Your emotions are your lens. Your thoughts shape your decisions and your decisions shape your life. Your mind is your most powerful weapon. But like any weapon, it must be sharpened. Like any muscle, it must be trained. And like any powerful tool, it must be used with intention. So let me ask you, have you been training your mind or just reacting to life? Because the difference between peace and panic, between wisdom and impulse, between victory and defeat, isn't found in the situation, it's found in the response. When you've trained your mind, you don't crumble under pressure. You don't lash out in frustration. You don't drown in confusion. Instead, you breathe. You step back. You refocus. You rise. You remember that clarity doesn't come from controlling the cause, it comes from controlling yourself in the middle of it. And when you remember that, you become unstoppable. Life is going to throw things at you. You're going to face setbacks, delays, and detours. You might lose something or someone you thought you couldn't live without. You might be forced to let go of a dream you held for years. You might wake up one day and realize the path you're on no longer fits who you're becoming. That's life. It's not here to protect your comfort, it's here to develop your character. And in those moments, you have two choices: collapse in fear or anchor in calm. Let me give you a reminder that may be hard to hear but necessary. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to show up and suddenly give you the peace you crave, the clarity you need, the strength you're hoping for. That has to come from you, from the practices you've built, the perspective you've trained, the breath you've returned to when everything else felt too loud. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, pause, breathe, shift your perspective. Don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "How can I grow from this?" Don't say, "I can't handle this." Say, "I'm being shaped for something stronger." Every time you do this, you choose mastery over reaction. You choose progress over panic. You choose power over fear. And that choice of that daily decision is what creates a life of true strength. When you stay calm, you see more. You think clearer. You stop trying to control everything, and instead, you learn to guide yourself. Because you've accepted the truth. The outer world is chaotic. But your inner world? That's yours to master. You may not be able to control what happens, but you can control how you carry yourself through it. That's the kind of strength no one can take from you. So if you remember anything from this journey, let it be this: life will test you. The unexpected will arrive. Fear will knock. Doubt will whisper. And the world will try to pull you in 100 directions. But you've trained for this. You've prepared. You've built your mind like a fortress, calm, clear, and centered. So when the moment comes, you'll stand, you'll breathe, you'll respond with wisdom, and you'll walk forward stronger than ever. You win not by controlling life, but by mastering your response to it. So breathe deep, hold your ground, trust your training, because when you stay calm, you win, always.